find the following disturbing. Discretion is advised.
The Bears.
Because of the way they play the nickel corner here, and the nickel corner plays 85% of the snaps. He's got to be like part linebacker.
The Bears.
When you're in a scouting room, there's going to be differences of opinion.
The Bears.
Once coaches get involved, of course, they've got their own opinions about what fits best for what they want to do, and that could be drastically different than what the scouts say.
Well, you're looking at traits. And remember, he tested very, very well.
The Bears.
One thing good about Kevin, he's been with 2 other organizations, as well as being the commissioner of the Big Ten. He's been around.
The Bears.
With Greg Olson, Jerry didn't want to get rid of him. I didn't want to get rid of him. Nobody wanted to get rid of him. One guy wanted to get rid of him. Mike Martz, because Mike Martz didn't know what the hell to do with him. We tried to talk Lovey out of hiring Mike Martz for a month and a half. He's playing zone, but number one, he doesn't get enough depth with the drop. But Who the hell's giving? How many times does a 305, 310-pound defensive tackle drop into coverage, especially in a key situation?
The Bears.
Greg, why are teams wrong on quarterback evaluation so often?
Number one, it's a hard position to evaluate. There's probably not as many real good quarterback evaluators as there needs to be.
The Bears. The Bears. The Bears.
Welcome, everyone, to a spanking new episode of GTF, Gabriel Talks Football. My name is Aldo Gandia. We've got a full week of programming available for you here at the Barroom Network. I know the news won't be totally happy, but we'll try to make it as enjoyable as of an experience as possible for you, our beloved Bears fans. All right, let's bring in the man of the hour, the man of the day, the man of the year. Greg, Gabriel, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing very well. Eddie is in the chat room, and so that always makes me very happy. Greg, your thoughts about yesterday's fiasco in Detroit?
I can't say the Bears did this, but I know a lot of fans did, including myself. After watching Detroit play Green Bay, you thought, well, they're beatable. And then you forget, regardless of who's coordinating or whatever, they do have a good head coach. They do have really good football players. They won a lot of football games the last 3 years. They had lost 2 in a row, if you go back to the playoff game last year and then the game at Green Bay last week. And it's their home opener. And those guys were loaded for bear. They weren't losing. And they played their hearts out, and you got to take your hat off to them. They played really well, and they weren't going to let up. They put the pedal to the metal and just went strong all day. And, you know, the Bears started off playing halfway even with them, but to me, it wasn't the offense. It was the defense. The defense was disappointing. And I don't know why, because up until the fourth quarter of game 1, you know, you include the preseason, the defense has played pretty good. Then all of a sudden they've disappeared for the last 5 quarters. And I don't have the answer why. I don't know why. And I'm interested in seeing what they're going to do about it, if there's going to be changes made. I would suspect that there'll be some, probably on both sides of the ball, some changes made going as far as who starts next week when they host Dallas. And I'm going to say it right now. They're going to beat Dallas.
Really?
Said it. In fact, we were supposed to have Courtney Cronin as a guest today.
Right.
Courtney got called to Bristol to do a bunch of shows. And so she's in and out of the studio up in Bristol at the ESPN studios all day. So she had to postpone. So she promised she'd be on next week. And I said, that's all right. That'll be better, because I guarantee you when we're going to be coming off a win, it'll be a more enjoyable occasion.
Indeed.
He said, I'll take it.
Yeah, well, it's first of all, it's fantastic that she's agreed to be on the show, and so while we're a little disappointed today, we are anticipating her for next week, and that'll be great. Okay, so you mentioned the Bears defense. I saw your ex post yesterday criticizing the defense's performance. Then I saw this in Brad Bigg's column. The defense allowed 8.81 yards per play, and that's the highest average allowed in Bears history. So we're looking at a team, at least after 2 games, that could have a historically bad defense if this trend continues. What gives you confidence that the defense will play better?
Well, number one, I think there's too many good players that have a history of playing well. Right now, part of the main reason they're struggling is the secondary with Jalen out and Kyler Gordon out. It makes it easy for the other team. And Jalen, I don't think, did they say anything about his injury after the game?
No, he said that he was not aware. He thought that it was aggravating the injury that he already had. And he said the same thing about Edwards.
Yeah, and I thought the same thing because he really stretched out to get that PBU on that play.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing is that if he aggravated it, it could be another 3 weeks.
Oh, yes.
And they got to do better. And who knows when Kyler's going to be ready? Kyler, practiced last week, practiced a little bit the week before in limited fashion, but he's got to be ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
And they may have to, with Jalen out when Kyler's ready, they may have to put Kyler outside.
Yeah.
And keep McLeod in on the slot. McLeod's not doing all that bad, and just get the best guys out there to play cover. And what really hurts too is, Terrell Smith got hurt in the preseason, and that's a pretty good player. So really, there's 3 top corners out right now, and that's going to kill. Your defensive line, your front 7, really your front 6. You're only playing with 2 linebackers. They got to play extra good to cover up for the lack of all those good players being out in your back end.
Tyreek Stevenson did not have a good game, especially in the first quarter. He was lost out there. And so
I don't know if he was lost or just got plain beat by speed.
Mm-hmm. Speed. The reason I say loss is, there was a penalty, and he looked. I got the sense that he was flustered. When a cornerback gets beat early and then he compounds it with a penalty, it is a bad start to a game. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hey, they were going at him. They put Williams over on him for a while, and Williams, you give him some room to run, he's going to run right by most people. You got to jam him up at the line of scrimmage. I haven't watched the tape yet. I don't know if I'm going to watch the tape. So
please don't.
Yeah, there have been enough bad stuff going on in this world. I don't need more to watch. So. He's got to play better. It's real simple. Mm-hmm. I saw a comment you made on X last night, and I felt the exact same way about, basically after you listen to Ben and Caleb in the post-game presser, it felt a little better. Mm-hmm. And that's one thing I like about Ben is he is very genuine. He says it the way it is. There's no BS. He basically cuts right through the chase, gets to the point, and he's very sincere. I don't think he uses any coach speak. Somebody may disagree with me, but I just don't see it. And I think he's as frustrated as all of us are, probably more so.
Yep.
Because the guy's a grinder. There's no question about it. It's a good coaching staff. So let's go. But what I What I don't like, and people are hammering the team, like Lawrence Holmes, who I think is one of the more fair people on sports radio, but he had a post last night, and Lawrence said something along the lines are, well, they deserve all the criticism we're going to throw at them this week. And okay, I get that, but just piling on and get your fan and what they do, they have a way of riling up the fan base. Does that make the situation any better? I told you this before the start of the show. Not everything starts off the way you want it. There are some really good coaches in this league that started their head coaching profession in an awful way. I'll give you 3. Dan Campbell, who kicked the Bears' rear end yesterday. How about his first 11 games as head coach of the Detroit Lions in 2021? 0 wins, 10 losses, 1 tie. The next year, they started to turn around. Lovey, we hired him in 2004. 1-5. We won 5 games that first year, went to the playoffs next year, went to the Super Bowl the year after that. Kyle Shanahan, now he's a pretty damn good coach. Everybody says he's probably one of the top 3 or 4 coaches in football, right? First year in San Francisco, 0-9 in his first 9 games. This stuff happens, man. And good coaches find a way to overcome it. And I have a feeling that this staff will do that.
This is Ben Johnson after the press conference. It's a little long. I'm going to cut it off in the middle, but let's listen to what he said after the game.
The explosive plays are an issue. You feel those. I did think the defense did a great job despite the turnovers and the 4th down. They hit the field. They were being resilient. They were fighting their tails off. It just didn't go our way today.
Ben, how do you get a team to respond to a kick in the teeth like today was?
To a kick in the teeth?
Yeah, just this
whole thing. We have a lot of prideful guys. We're 2 games into the season, and so I think they're just as disappointed as the coaching staff is, and we're committed to getting this thing right. I have a lot of belief in them. We have leaders, we have captains. I mean, when you're around this league long enough, these games happen, and it doesn't feel any better when it happens, but the good teams I've been on, they find a way to respond, and I know our guys will do that.
Do you believe Dan Campbell ran it up on you on that 4th and 4 going for it?
What's he supposed to do? It's 4th and goal. What do you want him to do? Yeah, he could have kicked the field goal. They don't kick field goals. They go for it there. So he was doing what he was supposed to do. That's what he does.
How demoralizing is this loss considering you were coming back, you left for Chicago?
It's not demoralizing at all. It's not demoralizing at all. We got to play better. Simple as that.
And some of these squandered opportunities after the fumble, the defense stops on 3rd down, get the ball back. What's your message going to be about not wasting those opportunities and good field position?
Yeah, I mean when we play good teams, you got to capitalize on every opportunity that comes your way, and we didn't do that. You're -1 in the turnover category, and you really can equate the failed 4th downs as turnovers as well. And so when you play a good team like that, you give up explosives, you give up all those yards. That's the way it goes.
Ben, you talked about being in this league for these type of games, winning blowouts. Having experienced this before, what do you think is the formula to bounce back from this going forward?
Yeah, the biggest thing is we're not going to hang our heads and get down on this. It's one game. We're going to be just fine. We'll take our corrections, coaching staff, players. We're going to learn from it, and we'll be committed to having a great week of preparation coming up this week and finding our first win of the season. That's all we care about.
I love that guy.
I don't disagree with one word he said.
Me neither.
And I can say this because I've lived it. And so I don't get into this. Let's just, shit all over the team. And if you notice, I haven't said much on social media actually in the last week.
I noticed that.
Reasons for it, I'll tell you one off the air.
Okay.
But it's you know, I'm not going to give in to the negative comments and criticize people. I agree with what Ben said. And that's what, when he said that, that's what made me look up these other coaches' records, is that, hey, man, it's 2 games. And we're a better team than what's been on the field so far. So I'm buying into them. Now, if somebody doesn't want to buy into them, that's fine. Their prerogative.
I, as disappointed as I am with this performance yesterday, embarrassing performance, because, when you get kicked in the nuts like that, he said kicked in the teeth. It was a kick in the nuts.
What's funny is that that the Detroit fans love that game because they don't like Ben Johnson.
No.
I don't think there's a player on the Lions that felt like their fans do.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. I mean,
I think that was more about Dan Campbell righting his ship. Because let's face it, he got his rear end kicked the week before in Green Bay.
Yep. There was a reporter from Detroit who asked Dan Campbell, how come after the loss to the Packers, how come the offense didn't have any explosive plays? They didn't have the creativity as before and so forth. It was a totally stupid question to ask a head coach after one performance. And Dan Campbell looked like he was going to bite the guy's head off, but he restrained himself and said, it's one game. Go look at the tape and tell me we didn't have motion, that we didn't try this, we didn't try that. And Dan was right. It was one game, and for the Bears, it is just 2 games. I expect them to play a lot better against Dallas. I'm not predicting a victory, but I expect to see improvement.
You know what? One thing I caught that a couple of the answers that Ben gave. You know how last year we listened to the pressers post game and even during the week, and there was always some real stupid questions being asked.
Sure.
Okay. So he gets one stupid question, and that was about Dan Campbell going for a touchdown instead of kicking the field goal.
Yeah.
And just his answer and the way he looked at whoever, and I don't know who answered.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Guarantee you, stupid questions are going to be ended real quick.
Yep. Indeed. All right, we're going to break things down because we got a lot of questions and comments in the chat to break things down. One thing that hasn't been talked about in the chat was the play that ended the first half. This is Ben Johnson talking about what transpired.
I had the official right next to me throughout that process. He told me it was halftime, so we went in for halftime.
And then what happened? What did they explain?
Land came over to me at the end of the third quarter, and he told me, I believe, that they ruled it out of bounds. They reviewed it and said it was in bounds, and so it was a 10-second runoff. So we'll see what it looks like on the game tape. That certainly was not communicated to us.
Greg, it appears to me that the receiver, Tesla, was touched while he was inbound. So the clock...
No, he was clearly down.
Yeah.
And the clock should have kept the original ruling by the official next to Ben was 100% correct. Okay, the official screwed up, and that was. Hey, look, I'm not going to blame the officials on that loss. There were some horrendous calls.
Yes,
but
indeed.
The one of the ones that I thought was horrendous was the holding call on Drew Dahlman, which negated a decent play, but he has the guy like this, with his hands right in here. There's not a lineman in the league that doesn't do that every play. That's
every play. Yes.
And he didn't even have his arms extended. He had them more like this. Perfect block. And he gets called for holding. That was a BS call, in my opinion. And there's a few others. But, yeah, that thing, it ended up costing you points at a time when you didn't want to give up any points.
Right.
So, you get a letter from the league. We're sorry. But here's another thing I don't understand. he said, must have been the lead official, comes over at the end of the third quarter. Why did he wait till the end of the third quarter? Why didn't he come out at the beginning of the, when they came out from halftime and explain to him? He had to wait another quarter?
Yeah. Yeah, that was, I don't want to say strange because I don't think there was an ulterior motive. I think it was just a official trying to cover his ass, knowing that they made a mistake after thinking about it during the half. But you're absolutely right. It should have been better communicated. They should have, they should have gotten it right. I'm sick and tired of all of us fans seeing the replay, knowing what the correct call is, and the officials either don't have the benefit of the replay or still see what we're seeing and still get it wrong. That's
was it going to make a difference in the game? No.
But
they still got their ass kicked.
Momentum is important.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they would have won, but momentum is important.
Yes.
And that didn't help momentum.
That's a touchdown they don't have on the board.
Yep. The officiating, as D. Staron says, for 2 games has just stung us. It really has stung us.
You know what? You want the calls to go your way, win some freaking games.
Indeed. I see a lot of cynical comments in the chat. I'm not saying they would have won, but listen, that should just not happen. It should not happen. All right.
They're supposed to be professional. I'll be fair. I thought he was out of bounds on the live look.
Yes.
When I saw the replay,
I agree.
I saw he was out. He was down.
Yep, indeed. And Evie is right. We're not trading anyone. It's too early to abandon ship.
No, they're not trading. And now, Ryan Poles blew the draft. No, he didn't.
Mm-hmm.
These are people that I said, they expect, rookies to come in and be all pros. That's not the way it works.
Yeah.
That's unrealistic in the National Football League. Someone come in and has this. We're 2 games into the season. 10%.
Respond to Laz, my buddy Laz here says, Poles is getting a lot of criticism for his lack of contributions from his draft picks for the past 3 years, other than Adunze. How do you draft a tight end that high and he gets 1 target in garbage time?
That's not the tight end's fault, is it?
No. But whose fault is it? Is the play calling, the coach?
Part of it could be the play. It's the design of the play.
Mm-hmm.
And how many I don't know how many. I don't have the snap count. How many snaps he played?
Shit!
But I'll go back to this, and I've said this 1,000 times. You don't draft a guy for 1 season. You draft a guy for a career.
Mm-hmm.
Some start a little slower than others. Some pick up right away. Some start off fast and then hit a wall. And so too many people are ready to, and I'm going to stick up for Ryan on this because that's the area of the business I was in. And so, I know how it works and I know how people can be. And, somebody said he hasn't drafted a Pro Bowl player yet. And I just thought, let me see, if I was going into my 4th season, how many Pro Bowl players did we have besides none and ended up with 12?
Mm-hmm.
All those guys that we had drafted previously turned out to be Pro Bowl players.
Right.
That part about I get it. I'm not going to piss and moan at the fans too much. But I get it. They want to win. They're frustrated. When they're frustrated, some of them say stupid things, but they say things that they really don't know why. They just shoot off in the mouth. And that's another reason why I'm not commenting, because why? When I read stuff like that and they ask me a question, I just ignore
it. The fact that it's like Flex says, you make a million excuses for Poles, check the scoreboard, that's your answer. So the question is, this is Ryan Poles' 4th year. When should fans expect a return on his investments?
Well, I'm going to tell you what, he's going to be here for at least another 3 years. He got a 5-year extension.
That's not answering my question.
I know. Hey, they expected it. We'd already have it from the coach they hired, right?
Right.
He's starting off slow. There's nothing we can do about it. You want better.
Right.
But, and I said this before, not only do we want better, they want better.
Absolutely.
Ben Johnson wants better. Ryan Poles wants better. Let me tell you, is pissed off as we are, multiply it by 100. That's what they are.
Well, I had a good buddy of mine, Rudy, texted me yesterday, and he said, you know what? I'm tired of hearing what you just said, because we fans are also highly invested in this too. For instance, Rudy lives and works in Wisconsin. So he was dreading going to work surrounded by Packers fans who were just going to laugh at him. We're going to say, you're such an idiot for being a Bears fan, blah, blah, blah. His point is that we fans who buy all this crap, who devote so much time to the team and so forth, this hurts for us a lot. And it's not just what's happened 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. It's what's happened throughout the entirety of our Bears fandom. You know, thank God you and Jerry and everyone involved with the Super Bowl team that lost to Indianapolis gave us some great seasons. But the fact of the matter is that we haven't won a Super Bowl championship since 1985. And so that's the frustration. We feel it just as badly as the guys who are working at Hallis Hall is the point. What do you think?
I don't totally agree with that.
Okay.
And I get what it is you're emotionally invested. And that's a big part of who you are. Meaning, and I just don't mean you, I mean, all the fans. The guys working in the building, that's their livelihood. That's how they, and if they don't perform, they know they get fired.
Yeah.
I remember when I took the job here, I go, probably going to get fired, because that's what happens when you take a better job.
Yeah.
You get fired. And then right away he said to me, "You've been fired yet?" I said, "No." "No, you can't say you've even been in the NFL, because you aren't in the NFL until you get fired 2 or 3 times." I get it. And I'm not going to lecture. I understand. But I'm just saying, and this is different than last year or whatever, because last year it was just, you could see what the problem was. This is just, I'm trying to develop this the best way I know how to do it, and I'm going to do it. Bear with me. And as painful as it is, bear with me. And go from there. He might, he's had one off season to put the team together that he wants. And I'll say this too, and on all the draft picks, how much of a say, and I don't know the answer to this, and I could probably ask, but I don't want to ask because I might not get a direct answer. How much of a say did the coaching staff have on each and every pick versus the personnel department? Because the draft is the GM's gig.
Right.
Okay. And the scouts are professional evaluators. And most of them, not all of them, most of them are pretty good. The coaches are, to separate this, professional coaches. Some people may think they're professional evaluators, great evaluators. Some of them aren't. They're not worth a damn. Doesn't mean they're not a great coach. It's that, they're not as good at evaluating as they are at coaching, because sometimes they're looking for the wrong thing. Sometimes a coach goes in and he's looking strictly for mental mistakes. And when the guy doesn't make any mental mistakes, he jumps on the bandwagon for him when physically he can't play. and then he says in his head, well, I can get him to play. Well, if you physically you can't do it, you can't do it. And I get the mental part. But, I worked with some coaches that you find out after a year and a half that they're not that strong as evaluators.
Mm-hmm.
You know what you do? You forget about they still write their reports. You just don't count them. You don't listen to their reports. You don't, because, you get burned. And that's what Ryan's got to do. And in Ryan's case, he had Flus's staff. Now he's got this staff. He's got to learn about each one of these guys. Who's good, who's bad.
Mm-hmm.
And if somebody says, I wanted this guy, and really step on the table for him. And I'm not saying a particular person or whatever, because I don't know, because I don't, as I said, I don't have the answer. But could there have been a choice that between player A and player B, and the coach really jumped on the table for player B, and they took player B, and player A is turning out to be pretty good? You follow what I'm saying on that?
I do.
And so I don't think we have the answer. I don't know if we'll ever have the answer. I mean, if somebody wanted to be totally honest with me and say, I could maybe find out, but it's just, it's a hard thing, because you gotta learn the strengths and weaknesses of all the new people you brought into the building, and what they're good at and what they're not good at.
Mm-hmm. Greg, Kenworth, generous donation here. He says, how long did it take Dan Campbell to right the ship? And you actually told us that at the beginning of the show.
I think they're in the playoffs the next year or something.
I think it was 3 years into his
21-22. They had a good year. 23 might have been the third year they were in the playoff. I'd have to look, but Ben he started off, he had a guy, I can't even think of his name, as the offensive coordinator, fires him, takes the play calling away. Dan does the play calling the rest of the season. Ben was a tight end coach or something. And then he elevated Ben to coordinator after the 21 season. So going into the 22 season is when Ben started calling plays and the offense got better. I could look up and see what they did that year.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Well, we're doing it, but it's, I think Shanahan turned it around after 1 year. I know with Lovely, we were in the playoffs. In fact, I think we won the division, hosted a playoff game in 2005, and we won 5 games in 2004.
Yep. All right, so let's go piece by piece here. Let's start with the quarterback play. Caleb, I need for you to evaluate Caleb's play, but I will say that statistically it was not a pretty sight. 207 total yards passing to Goff's 334. He completed 63.5% of his passes. Goff 82%. Goff, of course, had 5 touchdown passes. Caleb had 2 and threw 1 interception. Caleb was also sacked 4 times for 29 yards, and the QB rating there's a 60-point difference there. So evaluate Caleb's performance yesterday for us, please.
Okay, well, number one, you can't compare it to golf because it's a different team, different situation. And Ben said it too. He goes, once they go up big, then they, basically they got you by the balls. Because the defense dictates, and they know you're going to throw the ball, and they're going to come at you and kill you and everything else. So, in all fairness, there's a couple of bad plays. He's trying to throw the ball away, and he kept the ball inbounds, and it gets picked. Overall, though, I thought his play was better than a week before. There were some really nice throws. There are some things he did really well. Was it perfect? Was it close to perfect? No. But the arrow is still going up, and he's going in the right direction. He didn't give up 500 yards or 600 yards or whatever the hell the defense gave up. And all those points, he did not get a first down on the third and fourth down. is that his fault or is that the play call fault? You know, I got to look at the tape. I saw one, you know, was like a sideline view right from the line of scrimmage, and it seemed like his feet got caught up with the feet of one of the offensive linemen, and he couldn't push off and drive. I think that was on the 4th down. But, you know, is he the right guy to do that play? Is that the right play for the personnel that you have? And, you know, so if you want to question that, and Ben said after the game, you know, maybe we're going to, you think you should get a yard when you got two downs to get it. But he goes, or maybe we got to find a different play. And that could be the answer right there. You got to find a different play because he's not the right guy to do that with.
Yeah. Okay. So what should our expectations be for Caleb, given that he's got a new coach, a new offensive coordinator, a new system, and so forth? Would it be fair to say that after the bye, we should start seeing the kind of progress we've been hoping for?
I think you're going to start seeing. I like I say, I honestly felt there was some really good things he did yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that first drive was really good. There were some throws that were really good. There was going through progressions. Some of it was really good. I saw a thing post by RG3, and he said basically the same thing I just said. You know, people want to blame Caleb. Caleb didn't give up all those points. You know, Caleb didn't play bad.
Right.
Okay, so that game was more on the defense. Yeah, the offense, they had some penalties. They had some pre-snap penalties. I think 2 or 3 total in the game. I want to see a Chicago crowd get loud like that Detroit crowd was next week against Dallas.
Well, and the team has to give us some reason for, you know, when you're asking a crowd.
I get it. I totally get that.
Yeah.
It's but you're going to pay your money. You're going to go pay your money to try to help your team win, or go pay your money to boo them and make it more difficult for them.
Yeah, well, they pay their money. They can do whatever they want as long as it's respectable to a degree. You know, you can boo, you can do whatever you want. They paid to get in. And so, but I understand what you're saying. You know, you would like to see a crowd that's going to be supportive through thick and thin. But right now, Bears fans, their patience is worn thin. By the way,
although I get it, and I got to say this, I got to just is that I don't think like you guys do. And I count you as a fan. Okay. And it's because of all the years I spent in the league. I got a whole different mindset about this, you know, and yeah, I get disappointed, but the first thing you do is you find out when something goes wrong, you find out why. That's what you do when you're working in the football business. And then you find out how to correct it and go forward. And that's my whole mindset. And that's not going to change. So if they don't want to hear the way I say it, I'm sorry. But that's the way I'm going to say it. That's
well, you don't have to apologize for that. We accept that you're going to look at the glass half full, as opposed to so many of us Bears fans who are going to look at it half empty. I want to acknowledge Jim's $20 donation.
Cow. Wow.
Yeah, very,
Thank
very
you, sir.
generous. And basically what he's saying here is that Ryan Poles needs to find superior talent. So my question for you, Greg, is this, and I'm going to put you on the spot here.
Okay.
We know that you have an allegiance to the organization, to the McCaskey family, to Ryan Poles, who's been very, very friendly with you. We know that. But if you believe that some of the players that he's acquired over his time were mistakes as opposed to helping the team win. Will you be straight with us Bears fans? We really want to know that, because right now I'm reading the chat and a lot of people are saying Greg is making excuses and we're tired of hearing excuses.
I'm not making excuses. What I'm trying to explain, you can take it any way you want to take it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm trying to explain to you how it works from the other side. And that's all I know, because that's all I've been in,
mm-hmm.
both as a player and as a member of a front office. So I look at it, I can't get in that just piss and moan and everything. I think like you're right. I look at it with the glass half full. When it's wrong, I want to know why it's wrong and go from there. Now, if you make a mistake on a player, the best way to fix it is you admit you made the mistake and you cut the ties and you go forward, you get somebody else. Because you're compounding the mistake when you keep that player around. Ryan has made some mistakes. The first trade he made when he traded for the wide receiver was an awful trade. And he'd be the first guy to tell you it was an awful trade. But, I remember when Chase Claypool came out of Notre Dame, that was a player I really liked, and you saw him his rookie year, and you really liked the upside. What you didn't know is what was going on up here.
Mm-hmm.
The talent is outstanding. His head isn't right. And that's why he's not in the league right now. Not that he can't play.
Right.
He mentally can't play. I guess that's the best way to put it. and really that's been Ryan's problem. He gets the guard. I can't even remember that dog's name.
Nate Davis.
From Tennessee. And he had no football character either. And we've been doing this for 6 years, and the one thing that I always pound the table on is you've got to have the football character right. Like I've said this 1,000 times. Told our scouts, you can miss on the evaluation of the talent because we got other guys evaluating the player.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot miss on the football character. That is your most important job.
Mm-hmm.
Because you are the guy going in and getting it. And
go ahead.
That's what they missed on the football character of Claypool. They missed on the football character of the guard. And guys like Tooney, Jarrett, those guys all got really strong football character. I mean, those are good gets, but you got to make up for the bad ones too. And I don't know if he's made up for the bad ones yet.
I know that you can't answer this question as to why, but Tooch is asking, was Poles extended prematurely? It's a question. Shouldn't an owner see how good his roster reconstruction is?
You'd have to ask Kevin Warren that one. I think when they extended him, it was Ryan who hired the coach, not the McCaskies.
Mm-hmm.
And to get, he saw how the working relationship was with those two from the day he hired them up, through into the summer when they announced they extended them. They probably did it a little before then. Based on that, because they want everybody on the same page and the coach working with them. But I'll go back to what I said before. He's only worked with this coach for 8 months now. He doesn't know all of these coaches yet. And if he went to, that's why I said that before. Maybe he went too far on listening to some of the coaches and further than he should have. when they made a selection or a signing or whatever. And it's totally hypothetical because I don't know the answer. But I know that can be a problem because I've been through that problem. When you trust somebody to give you the right opinion, it turned out to be the wrong opinion. And you find out after you already have the player, then it becomes fourth along and you got to punt. And I told you how you fix it. You just don't listen to that person anymore as far as being an evaluator. Let him do what he does best, and that's coach. But I'm throwing something out that I don't really have the answer to on that. And as far as the extension, it's after the thought. I mean, there's nothing you can do about it. They gave it to him. Okay. And I think they felt good about it. And you know what? What if still at the end they're 9-7 or 9-8, whatever it is, and they have a winning record? Are you going to be happy? No answer. What'd you do? Shut me off? No. Turn on your mic, Aldo.
That would help, right?
Yep. I don't know. What'd you say?
Well, what I said is I understand what you're saying. This is it. We're 2 games into the season, right, and we've had 2 very disappointing. The second one even more disappointing for the first one, even though the first one was a home game and we had a lead. But it was disappointing to see us be thoroughly beaten. But I understand it's 2 games. We could go on a 10-game winning streak starting next Sunday. Does it look like that's going to happen? No, because some of the players that Ryan Poles has acquired have been very disappointing. And the players from this draft class, we haven't seen a remote, a sliver of contributions. Ozzie Trapillo didn't even dress for the game. Luther Burden got 1 or 2 targets. Colston Loveland.
He returned 3 kicks too, I think.
That's true. But I think you understand what I'm saying.
And Shamar Turner didn't dress, but Shamar Turner was hurt all during camp. So now they're trying to work him in. I'm going to say I'd be willing to bet right now that Shamar Turner will play within the rotation next week.
That would be, I think, helpful because a lot of people want your opinion as to.
And I wouldn't be a bit surprised that I don't know if it'll be this week. It might be all the way to the bye. But there's going to be a different left tackle because Braxton just is, he went against an elite defensive end. And the same thing we saw early in the preseason, getting beat by counter moves and speed. He just can't do it. And part of it is probably he's not 100% himself. But I'd rather have a young guy in there growing than a guy that's hit the plateau and he isn't going to get any better.
Yeah, I understand exactly what you're saying. I have to go by the coach's theory that we're putting the best guy that'll help us win the upcoming game.
Well, I'm going to say what I said, and I know what you're saying. I'm going to say what I said before, though. Coaches always think mental mistakes first, and Braxton's not going to make the mental mistake,
right?
Because he's a vet, but he's going to get beat on the physical mistakes.
Yeah,
and let's go back to Ozzie. Let's go back to Ozzie. Now, Ozzie playing in the first preseason game and stuff, playing left tackle. He really didn't play bad. He played pretty good. He played like you expect. Now, in their opinion, they said, well, yeah, but when he's on the right side, his feet move a little better. Yeah, but you're the guys who changed him and you drafted him, so you got to grow with that.
Right.
You got to let him go through the growing pains because physically he can't do it. Okay, maybe the mind hasn't caught up with the body yet. And that's the one point I'm getting to. Get his ass out there and play.
Even at the risk of ineffectively protecting Caleb's blind side.
Well, how's it going to be worse?
I don't think Braxton had that bad of a game yesterday. There were 2 or 3 miscues, but he did a good job on Hutchinson for the most part. You know, this you're talking about an elite player. Hutchinson is that, and I don't think Hutchinson.
No, I'll say we played. I thought he played better the week before against Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
I did not think he played good yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about a tough assignment, right? So let's go to some questions here. Usama had a question about the D line. He's just asking about, is our D line, why is our D line incapable? Why are we not seeing a better pass rush, more, at least equality? That defensive line is just not getting it done against the 2 offensive lines they've gone up against. Now they did get 3 sacks.
I thought the defensive line until the fourth quarter last week, and some of that wasn't on the defensive line. The defensive line played really good last week.
Mm-hmm.
Their pressure and everything else. Yesterday, for whatever reason, they were terrible, and I don't care what the combination was. Now, what hurt, there was a penalty on both sides. Sweat came through early and got like a 10-yard sack on Goff, and that got negated because there was a penalty on both sides.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
That was the Tyreek penalty, I believe.
It was for, and I thought that was a questionable call too. It was for
my gosh,
illegal contact.
Yes, they should not have called that.
No, and in fact, the announcers didn't agree with the call. I don't know about that one. You know, and that took away a situation. Gave Detroit, instead of you having like a 2nd and 20. You got a 1st and 10 again.
Yeah.
And they end up scoring on that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so there's a lot of things. I was disappointed in the defensive line play as a whole. I was not disappointed in their play last week.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, like, Dial played really well last week. I'd have to look at the tape that I don't want to look at, but to really see the difference. I mean, there's some guys that are some pretty good players, and maybe it was the way Detroit played. They weren't, the Bears could have been the 2nd best team in football, and they weren't going to beat Detroit yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Detroit was going to win that game. They win it, and I just hope the Bears got that mentality
for Dallas.
Put it this way. Russell Wilson threw for almost 500 freaking yards on Dallas yesterday. In Dallas.
Yeah. Somebody in the chat, I forgot who it was, and I didn't save it, I apologize, said, can our cornerbacks deal with the Cowboys receivers, CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens? High-quality players there. And with Jalen Johnson probably out because he's re-injured the hamstring. That's going to be a tough
hamstring. It's really his groin. If you listen to him, he pulled a groin muscle away from his pectoral. That's what the injury was.
Okay.
And now he could have just strained it, but still, he really stretched out on that one play.
Mm-hmm.
And right away I thought, oh shit, he did it again.
Yep. Yeah, it was a great play on his by him. He was having a good game, but what point in the game did that happen? That happened before halftime. Second quarter. Okay. That might explain a lot. So a lot of funny stuff here, but I won't put it on the screen because Tony wants to know why our top picks aren't playing. Give it time. Only 2 games. Is probably the only answer we have for that one. J2K.
They want them all to be all pros right away.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't work that way.
I think you've already addressed this. At what point do you have to question Poles' draft picks?
We've talked that.
You talked about it.
Yeah.
Chris's question: what about the offensive line play? We've talked about that. Greg who do you think will be the first pick in the 2026 NFL draft? We're already
Well, I
talking
know who it's not going to be.
yeah, it's not going to be that Manning kid.
It's not going to be Arch Manning. He might not be the starting quarterback at Texas in the next couple of weeks.
That's right. Oh my God!
I tell you what, because that brings up a thing. You got all these prognosticators or the draft analysts or the fake draft analysts that all had this number one pick. Everybody's we got to tank for Arch Manning. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, you can tank for him and get him maybe in the 7th round, but that's when he'd go.
That's what he looks like right now, right?
He got booed off the Texas field on Saturday.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. Greg asks you, Greg, your take on Caleb Williams taking about 85% of the snaps from the shotgun. Seems to me that Ben Johnson has given up on taking snaps.
I think that was because the game was getting out of hand and he had to throw and he better throw him from the gun. It's like play action isn't going to work.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Ben said the same thing. They know what you're going to do. They know you got to throw, and so. You're taking. They play from under center, so the running game is good, and then you can utilize play action.
Mm-hmm.
They jump to a big lead. Play action doesn't work anymore.
Right. Indeed. Tim Willis is asking, Greg, is it just me or did it look like Detroit didn't change their playbook at all and just continued to run Ben's Detroit offense? There were a lot of similarities to it. There's no doubt about it.
Well, they are using his offense because that's what the players know.
Yeah.
And Morton knows it too because Morton coached there.
Yep. Special teams has been an issue in these 2 games. OKC wants to know, why are we bringing the ball out of the end zone on kicks? Take the effing ball at the 35. You agree with that?
Well, the only time he really brought it out of the end zone was the last one.
Mm-hmm.
With it was 8 yards deep, and he brought it out because they weren't going to win. Maybe he thought maybe he could break something. There was one that he had 1 foot in and 1 foot out, if I recall correctly. And I think by that, he's out with 1 foot out.
Yeah, I think you're right. FFG Style wants to know, why do you think Dennis Allen is playing so much zone against the Lions? Because Goff eats up zones because of his game is tailored
because
to
his
beat
corners are hurt. His 2 best cover corners aren't there.
Yep. And Stevenson is not playing well right now. So
and really go back. You got 3 corners out. Smith's out for the year. Hopefully we get one back next week. And I have a feeling Jalen's going to be out a while again. He might be out until after the bye.
J2K.
I hope I'm wrong.
I hope you're wrong too. J2K has the question that we're all searching for an answer. He says, Greg, what's the solution? As a head scout, what do you do with this roster?
Right now, you don't do anything with the roster. I mean, you might change who's playing a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to do? Go out and give away picks for a player? For if there was somebody out there, you'd find a way to go get them.
Right.
And somebody might bring up, well, the Cowboys just signed Clowney yesterday, so we got to play him. But Clowney hasn't even practiced yet all year. And
he's not going to.
Clowney has been like this his whole career, and also kind of an a-hole in the locker room. So, but Clowney isn't a guy that would scare me, especially after he hasn't practiced it down yet. His first practice is going to be Wednesday.
Yeah,
he may not even be active against the Bears.
I doubt that he will be. He'll need time to ramp up. Unless they are in dire straits with injuries at the defensive end position, I don't think he'll play Sunday. And if he does, I'm not too worried about it. What I am worried about, of course, is the fact that there are guys on the roster who have still not contributed it yet, and they come from, Ryan Pose's drafts. And so developing those players is imperative. I'm disheartened to see a lot of people being critical of the coaching staff when just a few weeks ago we were so high on this coaching staff. Give them time.
That's par for the course.
Yeah. So,
like Notre Dame, everybody wants to fire the coaching staff at Notre Dame because they've lost 2 close games, and one by, on a last second touchdown where there was an obvious. Did you see that game?
Yeah, I did.
Did you see the defensive tackle getting literally tackled on the final touchdown play?
Yeah. Yes.
And no call. So, but, that's neither here nor there, but it would have been a 4th down from the 20 and not a 4th down from the 10. A lot harder to throw. But anyway, it's that's what fans do. And fans always want to fire the coaches. How did that analogy work? I go, when the team plays good, it's because the players played. When the team plays bad, it's because the coaches suck.
Yeah.
But guess what? The players got to play good no matter what.
A lot of people are saying the rebuild needs rebuilding. Well, the fact of the matter is when the Bears hired Ben Johnson, that started the second rebuild. So people shouldn't be asking for the team to rebuild now. The rebuild.
No, he's got to get the players he wants. That's why I read off the one thing. We didn't have all the players Lovey wanted in year 1.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And we went, we had no defensive line until the draft. We had gotten rid of everybody except for Alex Brown. We got rid of all the rest of them.
Yeah.
And we drafted Tommy Harris and Tank. And then we had to accumulate more, and then we traded for a Golier. It's Ben's got to get the type of players that he wants. Let me explain it a little better. Ben's job and the coaching job is to put together the profile of the type of player that they want at each position.
Right.
This is what I'm looking for. Then it's the job of the scouting department, personnel people, to find the players that fit the profile.
And have they? And so far, it's not looking good.
But there could be, and I'm just throwing this out there because I don't know for sure. There could be players that Ryan drafted for Flus that don't fit what he what Ben wants to do, or what DA wants to do. And then they become wasted picks.
Brummy Bear says the Bears have a culture that is so deeply ingrained in its psyche that losing and starting over has become kind of the subconscious norm. What do you think about that theory, Greg? Is that because the team has had such bad performance over the years, it's very, very, it's a little bit more difficult to get even good players to start to win because there is kind of this mist in the air that this is a losing franchise. You believe in that at all?
No, and I'll tell you why. There's such a big turnover in the roster from year to year. How many players on this roster were even here last year?
Yeah, I don't know the number, but it's probably well over a dozen. Yeah.
I'd say there's at least 25% of the roster is new, maybe more.
Yeah.
And I could go through and get the exact number, and then so the carryover. What I'm saying is I'm not buying that carryover. Now it can sit in guys that have been here in their mind, like Jalen, stuff like that. But I'll go back to the way we started the whole show at the beginning of the day, an hour and 5 minutes ago. We played Ben's tape, And you could see he was upset, disappointed, and everything else. But then when he got some dumb questions, he's like, "Hey, it's been 2 frickin' games, okay?" And and he's like, "I don't care what happened last year. I don't care what happened the year before. I care what happens now." And that's all he cares about. And now he doesn't care about today. He cares about yesterday. Probably right around now, it's noon. Now you start, you're done making the corrections with the players. Now you're working on your game plan for Dallas.
Yeah.
And on to the next week. And that's the beauty of the game of football. The thing is, the fans, they can't work on next week. They gotta piss. They gotta piss and moan until next week comes, which is 6 days away.
Exactly.
The players are working on it right now.
Yes, which is a good thing. Absolutely, you can't dwell on that. Roma Dunze said after the game, we're not going to dwell on it. We're going to get ready to play our next game against the Cowboys.
He said the same thing. 2 games.
Indeed. Couple of questions from J2K, and I'll try to meld them together for you, J2K. He's saying at the trade deadline, he's asking at the trade deadline, if we continue to lose, do we become sellers? And if so, do we try to acquire either draft picks or players that might be available that would better fit the Ben Johnson / Dennis Allen schemes?
Well, you're always going to try to get players that are better fits than what you have. Okay, that goes without question. Football isn't like baseball, where I'm going to sell off the team at the trade deadline. Until the last 3 or 4 years, the trade deadline was a date on the calendar. There were no trades, and there's been more activity. Part of it has to do with the way the salary cap works, and sometimes you can make a trade and get the other team, or the trading team will hold on to some salary and the other team doesn't. Depends what the deal is, but you have more activity. But you still, when you could look at the number of trades versus, baseball does in an hour what football will do over the course of a day, and the same way with the NBA and the NHL. There is so much more movement at the trade deadline than there is in the NFL.
True. So let me ask
I'm not even going to think about trade deadline. First of all, who's available?
Draft picks.
Yeah, that's about it. Who's available to say, Sweat was available because of the situation that Washington was in with Ron Rivera there at that time. Okay, and so was the other player, Young, the other defensive end. But as far as, who's available this year, I don't know. Braxton Jones might be available,
You've talked about moving him and even moving him during the season. So he might be somebody that you could trade for a 3rd rounder, right?
Not the way he's played.
See, I think he's worthy of a 3rd rounder if I need an athletic left tackle because of injury. A year ago I would have agreed with you. I can't, because what a backer I was, but yes, indeed,
he's not what he was. Part of it may be the injury, and I don't know if he's going to get a chance to redeem himself.
Yeah,
he might have to for another week or two, but I think his days are, and maybe I'm totally wrong, but I think his days are numbered as a starting left tackle.
All right, the Kansas City Chiefs have lost Xavier Worthy or somebody else, and they offer you a 2nd-round pick and a 4th-round pick for DJ Moore close to the trading deadline. You're interested? Are you pursuing those?
You can't. From a draft standpoint, you say, "Yeah, I'd like to do it." You get killed on the cap.
The Chiefs would, yes.
The Chiefs we'd get killed.
Oh, because explain how that works. Greg.
They got to pay. He's 1 year and a couple weeks into an extension.
Mhm.
So it's all of the bonuses
Gotcha.
get accelerated into the day you make the trade, and you
Mhm.
get hit with that right away.
Yeah, I'm
So
just
now
going
you know what the bonus, exactly what the bonuses were. The amortized portion of the bonus, it's what are you going to over the cap?
Yep.
Okay, the amortized portion of the bonus will show up. You know, they'll show a salary and then bonus, and that's the amortized portion. Well, multiply that times like 4 more years, and that's what they're going to get hit with. The salary you don't get hit with.
Signing bonus was $20 million when they signed the deal in last year, 2024.
You get that you're 1 year in, you're going to get hit with a 5-year extension. You're getting hit with round figure $15 million right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes it very hard to do a deal like that.
Yeah. So the other player that what about Cole Kmet? Would you say it's the same thing with him, right? The signing bonus makes it hard to deal him.
Well, he's a year, he didn't make as much money. You know, he's making 11 million, and he's 1 year further into the deal.
Mm-hmm.
But you deal him, who you're going to have block?
Yeah,
Durham Smythe, because Colson Loveland cannot play that position.
No.
Okay, and you know he is a move tight end.
Mm-hmm. Oh, all right. So there you go, J2K. Trading anyone at this point makes it very, very difficult.
Well, I mean, the guy that you can get a lot. I don't have over the cap up on here. I got so many different things open. I don't want, because I'm in the middle of doing work, and I just, you know, I kept that going. So, I'm talking to you, and I got to go back to it because I didn't want to. I have a tape on of a guy I'm doing, and I don't want to lose the spot.
Yeah, don't do that. So, and the money, the whole money thing, I hate to talk about money and trades and all that stuff, but you know, it is something. If we continue losing, it is something to ponder. Then I still have hope that the Bears are going to win some games here. Let's take a look at the schedule, Greg. So they got the Cowboys at home next Sunday, and then they go to Las Vegas to play the Raiders. You're saying they're going to beat the Cowboys. Could they potentially? Well, of course, they could potentially be 2-2 going into the bye. What's your confidence level?
Yep. Good.
And I'll tell you one thing, Greg, these Washington Commanders, Danny Sherman told me those guys are going to regress this year. They got lucky, not lucky. That's not his word. It's my word. But they benefited from some mistakes that certain teams did against them, and they rolled that wave. And we are seeing a Washington Commanders team that doesn't quite look as good as they were last year. So they could win three of their next games over this 4-week period.
Well, then you got the Saints after that, and they're terrible too.
Yeah.
But then you got Baltimore, and that's a different story.
Yes, it is.
You better get the run defense fixed before you play Baltimore.
Yeah. Yep. You hopefully TJ Edwards is available then. But you know, there is signs. I mean, there is reason for some optimism here, and I hope that people aren't going to bash me too much for having some optimism. I know Evie won't, because she says I can see us winning the next 2 games. Good. And Danny Sherman is 100% right.
Hey, look, as long as I'm doing this, unless you want to fire me, I'm going to be optimistic. So, and if they don't like it, I'm sorry, but I am always going to be an optimist.
Yeah, there's enough pessimistic show hosts on the Barroom Network that we need.
No, and it's not just the Barroom Network. It's all like
it's everybody.
Turn on talk radio today to listen to their garbage.
I have to, unfortunately, because I do a segment on that. All right, so let's see if I have anything here. I want to play a little video. This is Caleb talking about this. I was very, very impressed with what Caleb said after the game yesterday.
We got 15 more games. It's the first 2 games, and there's been on multiple occasions teams that rally back and go on a run, and that's what we're focused on. To do that, you got to focus on the next one. This game's over. They scored a bunch of points. We didn't score enough. That's typically how football works. You don't score enough points when you go out there. That you tend to lose the game. And so, being able to move on to the next game, next play, whatever the case may be, is where we're focused. And we all believe in each other. Coach says something extremely powerful to us after the game is how much he believes in each and every one of us, coaches included. And we believe in them. Everything that they put up. Everything that they call, everything that that we discuss, anything like that, we believe in them, and I think we just got to keep believing, keep pushing, and not let anything divide us or anything like that. We got to keep going. It's only 2 games, and we got to keep moving along.
There you go. And with breaking news here, and thank you for the gentleman in the chat who alerted me to this, and that's Rich. Adam Schefter and Courtney Cronin are reporting that, let me read it, Bears Pro Bowl cornerback Jalen Johnson is out indefinitely with a groin injury. Sources tell me and Courtney, this is Adam, the team still is evaluating the full extent of the injury, whether surgery is necessary, and how long Johnson will be sidelined. Johnson exited the second quarter of the Bears' loss to the Lions after sustaining the injury while breaking up a pass. He missed all of training camp. This could be a sad thing for Bears fans in that Jalen Johnson could be out for a good part of this season.
Be out the rest of the season if he's got to have surgery.
Exactly.
I mean, I just went back to what he said the other day when he said, this is what happened. Mm-hmm. And he said he was working out strenuously, and he literally pulled the muscle off the bone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Actually, that he came back is now how long before camp that was, but it was at least a week before.
Mm-hmm.
That itself could have been 2 to 3 months.
Yeah.
And he got back in 7 weeks. He was doing stuff a couple weeks ago. But now you may have to reattach a muscle to a bone. And I guarantee you, I'm throwing darts at the wall right here. But if surgery's involved, his season's probably done.
Yeah, that's sad.
And then you got to try to find, you've got to find somebody. You got to find another corner is what you got to find.
Yeah. And as you said,
you've already lost Terrell Smith. Kyler Gordon got healthy. I think what wouldn't shock me is that Kyler ends up playing that spot.
Yeah.
And then you got McLeod and you got Blackwell who can play the slot. Can they play the slot as well as Kyler? No. But you got to have somebody playing outside too.
They also acquired former Bear Jalen Jones. Do I have the name right?
Jalen Jones. Jalen started 5 games as a rookie.
Yeah, and did well.
And played well, and then the next year he got dinged up, and the next year he got dinged up. Mm-hmm. He's not a big guy, 185 pounds, but he's a 4'3" guy coming out of college. Was a little older. He was a 25-year-old rookie.
Mm-hmm.
Finished up at Ole Miss. I went to 1 or 2 places before that. They lost him in free agency, but the Cardinals cut him. They brought him back. Is he capable of starting and doing a decent job based on what he did here? Yes. But, you got to, right now it's becoming a big weak point because you keep going back. Losing Terrell Smith is huge.
Yes, indeed. So people in the chat who know this game very well are saying, does Dennis Allen now call more zone schemes, given that 2 of your very best man-to-man guys, Terrell Smith and Jalen Johnson, are lost for the season?
Well, Kyler. Yeah, and I mean, lost for the season. Yeah, Kyler, hopefully he's back this week. It'll be interesting how he does it. Can you see him getting totally away from what he does?
Mm-hmm.
But his DNA, I don't see that. But you also got to have the players to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that's why I asked the question, because those defensive backs were acquired for a zone system, because Eberflus didn't play a man.
Well, he played a mix. He played some press too, but he doesn't. But yeah, there's a lot of cover two and stuff in Flus's system. But is Dennis Allen a cover two zone guy? Versus other things. But he likes to play a lot of press, and you got to have guys that are. Well, first of all, they got to have a short memory because they're going to get beat. But, they got to be fast. They got to be very quick. They got to be sudden. They got to be able to jam a guy at the line of scrimmage and get in his hip pocket and stay with him.
Mm-hmm.
Not an easy thing to do.
Yeah.
Now, is there anybody else out there they can bring in? I don't know. Is there anybody you can trade for? I don't know.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. It's gonna be tough. This is, Ryan Post has to do some really creative thinking, and Ian Cunningham, and maybe they've got to take a chance, or maybe they played this conservatively. Don't trade away assets that are going to help you in the future. Continue to look at the big picture, despite the fact that fans are impatient right now.
Well,
don't pay attention to fans.
That is a very important point. Excuse me. You only trade away an asset if you're getting something quality in return. Mm-hmm. You're not going to overpay because you got the gun to your head now.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think he's learned his lesson on that after the year one Chase Claypool thing. If there's somebody available, who is it? And can he do what the coach wants, what Dennis Allen wants?
Yeah, indeed. Keith Love.
In other words, you can't just go out and get corner A who's sitting out on the street or playing for the Washington Commanders or whatever because he's available. He's got to be able to do what you're asking the corners to do within the scheme.
Absolutely. Keith Lutz wrote some very nice things about this show, and we really appreciate it. Over at patch.com, if you got more information, Keith, as to where people can find that article, please post it in the chat and I'll share it with everybody. And he writes here, Caleb says the right things, but I'm not sensing a fire inside of him that's necessary for field leadership. Am I wrong on this? What do you think, Keith?
I'm not around Caleb to see that.
Mm-hmm.
Where if I was there every day, you could see it more. I liked the composure he had, like in the clip and on the whole presser yesterday. Probably the best he's been at any individual presser since he's been here. Would you agree to that?
I would agree.
Okay. And just the way he handled himself, his composure, his calmness, exactly what he said. He was being kind of matter of fact. And, and part of it may be, coming from the coach, because they're all saying the same thing. It's 2 games and we're going to win these games.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand Keith's concern there, but yeah, it's hard to be fired up. He's got a lot going through in his noggin right now because of the complexity of the offense, and yesterday being in such a hostile environment. I mean, that crowd was really loud, and they knew there was blood in the water. What's the best analogy for a lion? They knew that they were sheep and the lions were closing in, or Catholics, right? I have to use a biblical analogy, but nonetheless, it is.
The Bears were like a hyena in the
Exactly. In the Lions Den. So
all by himself.
Yeah, I'm going to give Caleb some more time. And Keith texted me, I think it was last night. He says that he thinks that we might see a quarterback change coming really soon. I don't think that's the case. If there's going to be a quarterback change, it's going to be well into the season. There's too much invested in Caleb. I think that Ryan Poles would really stomp his feet.
In fairness, he can stomp his feet all he wants. When you start looking at contracts.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. It's where Ryan Poles has control of who's on the roster.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And most GMs do. The head coach is responsible for who plays.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And he has that control. And I'll go back and tell you, Jordan, I'm not going to. This was when we were here with Lovey, and there was an edge that we wanted, free agent edge, pretty decent edge.
Mm-hmm.
Lovey didn't want him. And we had a deal made with the agent and free agent. I mean, we had the money, we had everything. So Lovey said, I don't want him. And we're going back and forth. And Jerry said, I want him on this team. And Lovey said, well, go around and sign him, but I'm not playing him. So what are you going to do?
Who was this player? Come on, tell us the name.
No.
Was Lovey right or wrong in his assessment of that player?
He was wrong, but he was being stubborn. But that was,
that's one thing that I blame some head coaches is that sometimes they're too stubborn about changing things. I mean, the famous quote from Lovey is that Rex Grossman is our quarterback, and maybe he was right to be obstinate about changing the quarterback. But at certain times, maybe you should consider making changes. I know my buddy Dan Aguirre still believes that if Lovey would have switched the quarterback in the middle of that Colts game in the Super Bowl and put in Greasy, he thinks that the Bears would have won. What do you think about that, Greg? Changing Grossman out.
I can't remember. In 2006, the relationship between Greasy and Turner was probably pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that relationship got real bad to the point where when we got rid of Greasy, there was no chance in hell that he was ever going to wear a Bears uniform again. And if Turner could have shot him, he would have. And it was basically totally insubordination on Greasy's part.
Yeah.
And the game was in Philly.
How much do you hate Greasy?
No, I don't necessarily like him, but I don't hate him.
Okay. I remember.
No, I agree. And I'll tell you what happened. We're in the Philly game. I don't remember if we won the game or not. We might have won the game, but it was a tight game. And Ron was trying to call some plays. And Greasy's like, get here. Well, there was nothing wrong. He was calling his own game. And Turner was really pissed.
I bet he was. Swifty says Greasy was awful as a Bear. 10 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, 59 completion. No way. So, Swifty, you disagree with my buddy Dan Aguirre, who said, put him into that Super Bowl game because Rex was just having such a hard time. I think part of the problem, too, from going back, and you would know better, Greg, is did the Bears give up too quickly on the run game in that Super Bowl game?
I'd have to go back and watch the game, and that was 19 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Interestingly enough, and I have it because they were on during the summer, they were doing a lot of older games, and they played the 2 playoff games from that season leading up to the Super Bowl.
Okay, yeah.
So we played Seattle in the first game, and we played New Orleans for the NFC Championship game.
Great game.
And it was Rex was, in all honesty, hot and cold in both games.
Mm-hmm.
But when he was hot, he was real hot.
Yeah.
And the defense was outstanding. I mean, he made some throws. It's like, holy shit, I forgot that he could do that, because it's been so long. But there were some bad throws too. But I think, going back after watching those, and I still got them on my DVR. I haven't erased them yet. It's
don't ever erase them.
No, they'll be on again. But it's that wasn't our day. I thought it was when Devin returned the kick, but then Peyton Manning was bound and determined he was going to win that game.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, we had Thomas Jones on here at the barroom 2 or 3 times, and when he was asked about the question regarding Rex Grossman, and his response, very carefully phrased, I think he said, I think the game was too big for Rex that day.
And that might be very fair.
Yeah.
And don't forget, we didn't have Tommy either in that game.
Yeah. I mean, that was monumental, that loss. Oh, my gosh. Greg, I know you're not going to tell us who that player was, but J2K does have a guess. So blink once if he's correct. Was it defensive end Justin Smith?
No.
Oh, okay. Try again. Somebody else got a guess?
I'll be honest with you. I can't think of the name. I know the school. I know the nationality of the player.
Oh, is he Hispanic?
I can't think of it. And I scouted the player in college, and then I even know who is his agent's a good friend of mine. By the way, his agent's the same agent who has Tooney. So,
oh my goodness.
So it's I just can't think of the last name. I just don't. I know the way he looks. I could draw a picture of him. I can't think of what his name is. But if I heard the name, I'd say, yeah, that was it.
Of course. Well, I'll come up with it later and text you. All right. We are past the 90-minute mark. Greg, anything else you want to touch on? Last says, thanks for the clues, Greg. We'll get them.
You notice I didn't wear a Bears hat today? I'm not wearing a Bears hat until we win a game.
I noticed that. I didn't wear it either because you know why? Because I thought Courtney was going to be on, so I didn't want to seem like too big of a Bears fan. Yeah, exactly. But
we'll see. If we will win Sunday. We will beat Dallas. Then it's too bad. She's going to have to put up a super fan. I mean,
yes, indeed, both of us. All right. Thank you, everyone in the chat. Thank you for the donations. We had some very generous donations. Keith, Kenworth, Jimeth. Very nice of you. Thank you. Oh, look at this. I missed this one. Christian Mercado. He says, we let go of
Thank you very much.
Yeah. And he writes, we let go of Lovey, Trestman. We get rid of Fox when the defense was finally coming along. For Nagy, we lose Flus, another wannabe offensive guru. Christian is upset with the moves the team has done from the coaches. And thank you again, Christian, for the $5 donation. Wait a minute. Oh, yeah, I did get that one in from Keith. So, again, very, very appreciative of you guys joining us live. I'm going to ask one thing. If you enjoyed today's show, share it on your social media channels, and that would help us tremendously. Greg, any final words?
No, but stay on. I got a couple things to say.
Okay. We will see you here next week after the Bears beat the Cowboys, and hopefully Courtney will show up to see us in our full Bears paraphernalia, hats and shirts and everything else. Take care, everybody. See you soon.
See you later.